Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural first ever KBC podcast where we just kick back, chill, and talk about, frankly, whatever's going on out there in the world. My name's Boda. Coming along with me here is my really good friend, Han. So we just want to welcome you all here. This is really just, again, talking about a wide range of different topics here. We are more into sports, so, of course, there's probably going to be more sports conversations than anything else, really, but big on engagement. So if you like something, if you hate something, even let us know, give us the feedback. That's just going to allow us to get better and to make sure that we're talking about stuff that you as the viewers are wanting to watch. So like, comment, and if you feel inclined enough, if you like us enough, give us that subscription. We'd really appreciate it. But yeah, so we have the show coming up here for today. Again, we're going to be talking more about sports that's going on. I know Han has some hitters that he wants to talk about. So not a whole lot of stuff going on right now in the world of sports. It is the All-Star break, but there's going to be some stuff out there. So he'll talk about some of the All-Star festivities. I know there's a UFC fight on tonight actually that I'll be talking about, and of course with it being after the Super Bowl, it's now the draft season. So the draft's coming up here in April. So us being big Bengals fans, we'll definitely talk about their draft as well. But yes, again, welcome. We appreciate you guys again for tuning in here. Without further ado, Han, if you want to give us some of those hitters, man.
Absolutely, Boda. I appreciate that. So today, not a very big slate. College game that I do like to talk about, and then obviously it's All-Star Weekend in the NBA. Not a whole lot going on, but a few little fun events if you have nothing better to do here on a Saturday night. So, like I said, the first game I want to talk about is Kansas is at Oklahoma today. Their first meeting was last month. They took Oklahoma and beat them pretty handedly, 78-66. Kevin McCullar and Dickinson both going for 20 points in that game. Looked pretty good. McCullar, going into him, has been out for the last two games. Was unable to walk into the facility last game. They had no problem beating Baylor at home, 64-61. Furphy had a decent game. Dickinson was a very, very strong contributor in that game as well. Going at Texas Tech last time out, though, absolutely getting blown out by the Raiders, 79-50. Just did not look like a good team. McCullar sitting on the sideline didn't look like a solid Kansas team like everybody is used to watching. But going into this game, you are looking at a probable McCullar. He will be a game-time decision. They want to see how he looks in the pregame warm-ups, but I would say he is going to play tonight. I do like Kansas a lot better in this game with him on the court. Without him tonight, I'd be leaning more on the Oklahoma side. Currently, Kansas is -3. I think that Vegas is looking at them to be playing McCullar tonight. So a few props in the game that I actually really do like. Last time they played, Dickinson had a double-double, an emphatic 14 rebounds, 12 on the defensive end. That's just a big guy, 7-footer.
He's a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably Big 12 Player of the Year we're looking at. Second in scoring behind his teammate Kevin McCullar, just shy of 20 points a game. Dickinson, like I said last time out, had a double-double. I do like him to go for that again. It's just a really big mismatch for Oklahoma. Dickinson definitely like him to get under the boards. I like him to go for 10-plus rebounds tonight for sure. And then to match that, obviously, with his points. A guy I like to talk about, a guy from Australia, Johnny Furphy. He's a freshman, and he has been absolutely amazing over the past month and a half. McCullar going down, they've been talking about something called the Furphy effect. The Furphy effect is where he gets the ball, passes it off, tries to get open, and they will not allow it. It's more of a 4-on-5 game for Kansas on offense lately. I think McCullar coming back into this game will open up Furphy a lot more. He'll have a little more open looks. He is a dismal 1 of 11 for 3 in his last 3 games. I think McCullar has a big factor on that. I think that McCullar is the facilitator on this team. DeJuan Harris has had a lot put on him lately, and he is just I don't want to say he's been struggling, but he has just not been the same player as he has when they have their starting five. Their bench has not been all that great. Timberlake coming off the bench, he was a great player last year, and he transfers to Kansas, and just his performance this year is just not what you've been looking for. So going back into the game, like I said, I like Dickinson for a double-double. With McCullough playing, I really like Furphy to go over his points at 11.5. And if McCullough plays, I'm liking Kansas on the money line. I really am. I don't know about the 3 points. I do think it's going to be a close game down to the wire, being in Oklahoma, and them wanting their, they want to split that series. Oklahoma's going to come out, and Sooner is going to be shooting. Another thing that you want to look at is Kansas is 7-5 in the Big 12, and they are looking at a possible year they don't look for a conference championship. And I just think that Kansas is going to come out hot. They're going to want that conference championship. This is a must-win game. The top of the conference is Houston. They have beat them. They looked great against Houston. Iowa State is also at the top of the conference, and they lost to Iowa State. So they really need a win here. If they get a win here, they'll push to 8-5 for the year, and definitely need a win. So for the picks, I'm looking at Dickinson, 10 rebounds, Furphy, 12 points, and Kansas money line. You can find that at plus 330 on DraftKings. They actually have a little bonus on DraftKings at a plus 20% if you go for 3 legs. You can boost that up to 396. I will be putting a unit on that. I really do like Kansas to win as long as McCullough plays.
Gotta love Big 12 basketball, baby.
Big 12, best conference in college. Argue with me. All right, so moving on from college, there's a few other games. I just don't really like it. But going into the NBA All-Star Weekend, we have, to start the competitions, the Skills Challenge. So you have Team Pacers, you have the Young Bucks, and Team All-Stars. Should be a fun one to watch. It's always, who's actually going to come out and try. This year, the All-Star game is in Indiana, and I kind of think it's funny that they've put a Team Indiana together. Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and Miles Turner will be representing them in the Skills Challenge. And they're going to come out and they're going to want to put on a show in front of their home crowd. The top team picks, you have Paolo Banchero, Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama. I love all of them. They're going to be playing pretty hard. And then you have Team All-Stars, Scotty Barnes, Tyrese Maxey, Trae Young. You're going to see a lot of these guys coming out, having a good time. They don't care if they win or lose. But like I said, Indiana, with them having the All-Star game there, I do like Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers team to take the Skills Challenge. You can find that at plus 140. Like I said, just trying to have a little fun here. But Pacers, plus 140, they have the best odds to win that. I do like them to take that. Going on from that, you have the three-point contest tonight. Damian Lillard is the favorite to win that tonight at, I believe, plus 450. He is the reigning champ, came off 2019 he was in it and came off not such a great performance. I want to say he put up 19 points. But last year, putting up 26 in that final performance was pretty impressive, taking down that dub. He is also in it again, like I said, this year. There's a few other players that I would be looking at, though. You have Malik Beasley, who, as far as your slate of players, is leading the NBA in three-point percentage, with Karl Anthony Towns, who is also the same odds to win the three-point contest as Malik Beasley. Karl Anthony Towns is shooting 43.7% from three-point range this year. As the second best odds to win this contest behind Malik Beasley. Both of these players at plus 650 to win this contest. Karl Anthony Towns also won this event in a previous year. I don't see why he couldn't go out and win another one. So I kind of like Karl Anthony Towns at plus 650 to take down the three-point contest. I'm probably going to put a unit or two on that myself. Moving on from the three-point contest, we have a dunk contest this year. Again, Mac McClung is showing up this year, yet to play a minute in the NBA. Yet the NBA decides, hey, let's let this kid come because he can jump out of the gym. A lot of people are on Mac McClung to win this. It's Mac McClung, Jaylen Brown, Jamie Jaquez Jr. from the Heat, and Jacob Toppin, the brother of Obi Toppin, who is a Pacer. And I say he's a Pacer because that goes back to the whole skills challenge. Who's going to be playing? Who's the home crowd? I think he might get a little bit of an extra look here. Jacob Toppin is plus 550 to win the dunk contest. You know, it'd be too easy of a storyline. Mac McClung wins dunk contest again. Kick and jump. He's crazy. If you've seen any of his highlights, if you haven't seen any of his highlights, I recommend going and watching them. He is incredible to watch dunk the basketball. However,
that's about it.
However, I do like Jacob Toppin. Jacob Toppin, I think, is a dark horse to win this. I think, to be honest, he would be the second favorite to win. Jaylen Brown, I mean, yeah, he's got hops. Jamie, he can dunk. If you haven't seen any of his highlights, he actually tweeted out that he's got something that you guys haven't seen before. So I am excited to see what he's got in store for us. Yeah, like I said, I like Jacob Toppin. So to wrap that up, Team Pacers, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Jacob Toppin to take home some hardware tonight. I really do like that. So that pretty much wraps up the basketball side of things. It's a really slow weekend with it being All-Star weekend. The All-Star game starts tomorrow. It'd be a fun one to watch if you want to see some high-scoring, no-defense type of basketball. It could be kind of exciting. So like I said, that wraps up the NBA side of it. I do know there is some UFC fights, UFC 298 tonight. I'm going to let Boda take over that and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate, your hitters there.
Absolutely.
So definitely if you want to take advantage of that, maybe make some free money this weekend, definitely look into that. But yeah, correct. Tonight it's UFC 298. It's Alex Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight championship. So, so that's going to be a big fight. It's got a lot of interesting fights on it as well. Kind of starting off with kind of a funny thing that happened, but Justin Tafa, he was scheduled to fight, ended up getting hurt.
Mm.
Funny thing is, he ended up having his brother, which I don't know if they're twins or what, 1 day's notice is stepping in, filling in for him. So
that's pretty funny.
Obviously, not really sure, how that is. Again, his name's Junior Tafa. That's the brother. He's going to be fighting Marcus Rogerio de Lima. Again, just something funny to kind of look at. Not really knowing what to expect on that. But really, the first fight I really want to start off with, it's actually the final prelim. The early prelims, they start at 6:30. Prelims start at 8, and then your main card, starts at 10 o'clock. So pretty typical timing there. But final prelim, you have Amanda Lemos going up against Mackenzie Dern, two Brazilian strikers. They've been doing it for a while now. Dern is plus 110. Lemos is minus 130. Big thing with Dern is she did make a fight camp switch up. She actually ended up moving to her different camp, taking more of a focus in on like her strength and conditioning, and try to put on some body mass, which you can definitely tell. She looks cut up. So I do like Dern in that fight. They again both seasoned veterans though, so it'll be a good fight nonetheless. Also, another big fight here. Again, you have the former double champ, if you will, Henry Cejudo, the Olympic wrestler. Everyone knows who he is if you're in the UFC world. So he's actually going to be fighting Merab Dvalishvili. Again, I probably butchered his last name. Those names are definitely fun to say, but that's going to be another fight. Cejudo is plus 220, which is interesting.
It's good odds.
Absolutely. Again, Merab is a beast. Again, he's comes from those Dagestani fighters, so it's going to be a good fight. But Cejudo plus 220, he has those championship pedigrees. He's fought at the top for a long time. The biggest thing I think that goes against him is the fact that he was out for the last, 3 or so years. And when he finally came back to fight, of course, he lost. So something to pay attention to. Again, that could be a little, low risk, high reward. If you got a little bit of money that you could lose, maybe look into that. Maybe even on like a parlay that could definitely hit for sure. Next, we have Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. Again, Ian Gary's the big, the next Conor McGregor, if you will. He's fighting out of Ireland. So he's going to be a favorite. Everyone loves him. So and then fighting Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal, again, he's been doing it for a while. Hands of steel. That's why his name is. He hits hard. He hits like a Mack truck, and he looks like it too. You can just tell. Gary's definitely the more overall the better how do I say it? Well-rounded fighter, if you will.
I would say so.
So he definitely has the more grounded approach. He can do it on the ground. He can stand up and bang. So, but there was a lot of animosity, a lot of controversy going on with Ian Gary and his wife, who is a little bit older, and there's the whole thing with. I guess she wrote a book about how to trap young athletes and to get a bunch of money. I don't know. I'm not much of a reader. I don't, but do with that what you will. Anyways, a lot of distractions going on. Exactly. Yeah, but a lot of distractions going on. I do like Neal winning that. And again, I can see him knocking Gary out. So I do like Neal on that one. But again, another good one to watch here. Excuse me. But then the final two fights, the co-main event, this is a really exciting fight. You have Robert Whitaker, who is minus 235 versus Paulo Acosta, who's actually plus 190. Both, have fought in the big fights. It's, it's in the middleweight division. A lot of they've been in a lot of big fights. Obviously, Robert Whitaker with his many fights with Yoel Romero, and then Paulo Acosta, he just recently fought Luke Rockhold and won pretty handedly over that as well. But the big thing is, again, kind of like with Cejudo, like I just mentioned, Paulo Acosta, he has not been that active. It says here, even since, 2022, the last fight was against Luke Rockhold back in 2022. And then before that, it was, again, almost a whole other year before that when he fought Martin Vettori on October 23rd, 2021. So, again, he just does not fight a lot. Meanwhile, Whitaker, on the other hand, he's fought a bunch. He's fought, at least twice in the last year and a half. So, I do like Whitaker. Yeah, he's minus 235, but I just think much more active. And again, not that Paulo Costa doesn't have takedown defense. He can wrestle to an extent, but Robert Whitaker just has the edge when it comes to grappling. And again, he has a wide range in his arsenal when it comes to striking. I think it's a lot of good fights here, but I think this is another one that's going to be exciting to watch. I really do. I do think, Whitaker is the one that has his hand raised at the end. But again, Costa's been in those big fights. He knows what it takes. Now, again, he hasn't won the championship. That could be the big difference maker there. Whitaker's been a champ. Paulo Costa hasn't. So they've had similar opportunities to do so. So, but again, Whitaker minus 235. And then again, the main event, the big one, Alex Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. Again, for the featherweight championship, Topuria is undefeated. He's 14-0. He's the one that's coming into the ranks.
Very impressive.
Very impressive. He's a younger cat. He's 27, so definitely has a bright future in the UFC and MMA. Whichever he ends up doing in the future. But it's so hard though to go against Volkanovski. Yes, he has lost recently twice to the same guy. To Makhachev. So, but again, Makhachev is again one of the top, 5 pound per pound fighters right now. So you got to kind of understand. You got to give him some grace with that. Recently, when he was defending his featherweight belt, he beat Yair Rodriguez by knockout, which again is a huge fight. Rodriguez is a very talented guy. Got it done. Volkanovski is really just probably the most well-rounded fighter in the UFC right now. He's strong. He has a ground game, and he can strike. But again, I think I'm taking Volkanovski minus 120 to win that one as well. But again, overall, even like the early prelims, like there's a lot of good fights that are coming on. I always play this game where it's like, is it worth buying the pay-per-view, or should I wait, or should I go to B-Dubs and watch it there? This one might actually be one worth, buying. Now UFC 300, of course, that's the big one. You're going to hear a lot about that. I'll definitely have another video about that too. But UFC 300 is right around the corner. I think it's going to be coming up here and sometime, I think, in April as well, I believe. But if you, don't have anything going on tonight, I definitely would recommend, maybe, pitching out some money to buy it, or maybe get some friends together, put some money into it. But it's definitely going to be an exciting night. Yeah, absolutely. So again, pretty much got all of today's sporting events, or rather this weekend's, events talked about. Now it's the exciting spot, the exciting stuff. So again, NFL draft's coming up here in like April. I want to say in probably like the third weekend of April usually. It's coming up quick though. See if we can grab a date on that one. I'm sure it'll pop up somewhere. But I think it's somewhere like April 21st or something like that. But the Bengals, again, we grew up right outside Cincinnati, so we're big Bengals fans. So of course that's what we're going to be talking about more is that they had the 18th pick of this draft, and so
we're looking at April 25th through the 27th.
So. Yeah, towards end of April. So it'll be exciting. I think the big controversy too, especially for those early picks is, who's going to be number one? Is it going to be Caleb Williams? Me personally, I think with the Bears, I think they can work with Justin Fields. Again, I'm a big Ohio State fan as well, so I'm probably biased, but man, you got to draft Marvin Harrison Jr., man. Got to.
You would think that would be the consensus number one overall pick, but Bears will be the Bears. I did want to actually wrap this up with, I forgot a little fun event happening tonight, a little one-on-one action. Sabrina Ionescu last year, after shooting absolutely lights out in the women's three-point contest, 37 out of 40 points. Incredible. Called out Steph Curry, asking shootout, ? The NBA has made this happen, and tonight, in between the dunk contest and the three-point contest, Sabrina and Steph will be taking the court and going one-on-one. You can find Sabrina to win that at plus money on DraftKings. I don't hate that. She has set a record last year, 37 points. That's incredible. It's not a one-on-one.
True.
They're shooting the ball. I like Sabrina Ionescu to take that down. Steph, watch out.
Yes, true. That's very true. It's hard to bet against Steph Curry, though. It's hard to bet against Steph Curry.
You're not wrong. The greatest shooter of all time. Greatest woman shooter of all time.
Yeah. And is she going to be able to prove that, she's the greatest shooter of all time?
We'll find out. I'll tell you what, 8 o'clock, all those skills challenges start, and then it goes into the three-point contest, and then they will be facing off one-on-one. I'm pretty sure you can find that on ESPN tonight.
Yeah. And then after you get done watching that, again, the main card for that UFC 298 starts at 10 o'clock. So, really, it seems like there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff, but, it's turned out to be a pretty good evening, you know?
You can have some fun. Watch some people have some fun on the TV.
Yeah. But yeah, and then, pretty much to wrap up the show here, again, the Bengals, so Bengals got the 18th pick. I don't know if you've seen anybody that you think. Me personally, I think some of the big team needs for the Bengals, obviously, you got to protect your franchise quarterback. If there's a tackle, there's a couple tackles that could be available that first round that could definitely bolster that and at least give us development. Obviously, perfect scenario, we get someone that's ready to play right away.
Absolutely.
But the only person I would pass up any of these tackles would be if Brock Bowers, again, tight end is a big need. If he happens to fall, which again, who knows, that is a lot to drop because again, he is, he's definitely the number one tight end in the class easily. So if he happens to fall, pick him up. But I do think that the Bengals are in a best player available situation, which is always nice.
It'd be really nice to have that best player available as an offensive tackle.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few tackles out there. I mean, you got Amarius Mims out of Georgia. You got, Tylese Fuoga from Oregon State. There's a few people.
And again,
out there.
J.C. Latham out of Alabama. I like him a lot too. He's a big guy. I think he's like 6'6", so he's definitely has the length. Dude. So, but again, it'd be hard. The only time I wouldn't is if none of these guys that we just mentioned, the tackles are there, and Brock Bowers is. I feel like that'd be the only reason why he would be there is if they ended up drafting more linemen or other positions that again are of bigger need. So
I could see Brock Bowers falling a little bit.
Yeah. Another big need I think for the Bengals is their D line. Again, I hope we can re-sign DJ Reader. I feel like you haven't really heard much about that. Obviously, you have the whole T Higgins deal going on. It looks like they're probably going to franchise tag T. So, but either way, they gotta find a solution for DJ Reader, whether they sign him or not. Even if they do re-sign him, it's only going to be for 2 or 3 years, most likely. They got to have someone behind them. And I think that's where the second round could be big. I think there's going to be
absolutely
a few defensive tackles, that are there. I know, I forget his name, Sweat out of Texas. That's a big one that I really like. Him, and I know they have a couple of D tackles there.
He's got a teammate, Byron Murphy.
Yeah. I think that second round could be huge for a defensive tackle, again, just to get that depth there. And then as the rounds go on, again with the uncertainty of T Higgins and the uncertainty of Tyler Boyd,
which by the draft they should know what they're working with.
Absolutely. So I don't think it would be crazy if they ended up drafting a wide receiver. I think there are going to be some
crazy at all.
Some you have Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Depending on where he falls to, he could definitely be an option there. So. Definitely, I mean, you got some people there, and I think with the Bengals and the situation that they're in, and it seems like Mike Brown has, found some youth, and his way of thinking. And I do think that's with I think it's her granddaughter, but Elizabeth Blackburn. But they, I think they're starting to, keeping up with the times. So who knows? I don't see them trading out of at least the first round. They might trade some picks later on, but the Bengals really aren't big with trading away their first round pick unless I could see it if they had a player that a team was willing to trade for the first round. I think that might be the only one, but I just don't see that situation happening, frankly. So what are your overall thoughts? What do you think that the Bengals with this draft, they can get the people like that, those final pieces to finally make that push?
Yeah. I think the biggest question that the Bengals need to answer on their end is whether they want to find certain players in free agency or they want to trust the draft. You're just looking back in previous years. I mean, they've had not the greatest draft classes. I mean, we got Joe Burrow, that's great, but Jonah Williams probably one of the next best picks, and
he hasn't been awful. But so you expected more
outside of our offensive game with our wide receivers, our tight ends, our quarterbacks. I mean, outside of that, drafting has not been really too great for the Bengals. So trying to find somebody in free agency, especially I wouldn't hate that, but definitely just figuring out what's going on the inside of who's staying, who's going. You got to figure that out before you start making your moves. But I think definitely targeting offensive line in the draft would probably be the most beneficial for him. But if Brock Bowers is there, you just can't turn him down. I mean, Tanner Hudson was very, very promising, and he's going to get his playing time. Drew Sample, same thing there. But just having Brock Bowers in that locker room would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And it looks like Irv Smith Jr. is probably on his way out.
Unfortunately, he just didn't work out. He was a really promising tight end when he came into Minnesota. Unfortunately, just didn't pan out.
And again, another guy that had that LSU connection, but didn't pan out. But I guess there's always Justin Jefferson. So, but it's February now. By April 25th, when the first round starts, kicks off, we'll have I think we're gonna have a much better picture of where the Bengals are gonna be at.
Absolutely.
I think also once they get through the draft, that again, it's just going to answer all those questions. And it does seem like they are receptive. Obviously, at the end of the day, fans don't dictate drafts. Fans, frankly, half the fans really probably don't know much about football, but I digress. But they are seem to be opening up to fan reactions and things like that, and trying to make sure they do right. They're putting a lot of stuff into the stadium, increasing the atmosphere, bettering the atmosphere. So I think it's going to be a fun year. The Super Bowl's back down in Louisiana, so
Joe Burrow's coming back too.
It's got to be in the script, I'm sure. With and then of course you got to have Lil Wayne. As a halftime. I'd love T-Pain on there too. I don't think you could ask for much better of a halftime show.
That'd be a pretty nice halftime show.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah, but everyone, we appreciate you joining us again. Please, like, comment, and again, if you really appreciated what we had to offer you, subscribe to us. But again, this is just the first episode of many more to come.
And if there's ever anything you guys want us to talk about, any topics you want us to cover, feel free to send those down in the comments. We will read those comments and we will talk about, things that we actually can talk about if you want us to talk about them.
Absolutely. And in the bio below, we'll have a Twitter handle in there for the KBC brand, so the podcast. So, but again, we appreciate you all so much. Please like, comment, all the interaction that we can just to allow us to grow. We definitely appreciate it. But with that being said, enjoy your Saturday, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.